For those of you who may be joining us from another office, we do have this month, we've invited some of the other Realty One Group offices to join us for our trainings. My name is Amy. I am with Realty One Group Fox out of the Northern California area. Our trainings for it, so all of our trainings in the month of May are related to the items on that bingo card. We have trainings every Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The link is always the same, so throw it on your calendar, watch it. I also, all the trainings will get uploaded to my YouTube channel, which I'm sure my wonderful admin, Abby, will throw that in the chat box as well so that you can subscribe to the YouTube channel to make sure you catch any trainings that you missed. So let's get started. This is our first lesson. And if you know me, you know where we have to start. If you don't know me, you'll soon learn that I am all about the database. Okay. Creating a business of repeat and referral business should be your bread and butter. And it should also be your starting point, whether you're a new agent or experienced agent. If you're not diving into the database, that's where you should start. And if you're like, oh my gosh, Amy, I'm so tired of hearing the same lesson about the database, this isn't going to be the same information that you've heard. I promise you will walk away with at least one action step that you can implement into your database right away. My goal here is to get you to a 10% conversion ratio. Okay, 10%. So if you've got 250 contacts in your database, I want you to close out the next 12 months with 25 transactions. Okay, so that's the goal, is a 10% conversion ratio. But we're going to talk about that here in a minute. If you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself at any time and just interrupt me. That's totally okay. You can also raise your little zoomy hand. I will keep an eye on that, as well as you can throw your question into the chat box. So lots of options of how to communicate if you want to do so. I do like interaction. So let's talk about what we're going to go over today. If I can get my computer to participate. So our learning objectives today are: what's your database potential? Quality over quantity when it comes to the contacts in our database. Then we're going to go into break the mold to step up your game. We're going to talk about how to tag your database and how to create a circle of influence system that will bring results. Okay. And the more that you interact with me during this, the better it will be. So if you have questions, ask them and let's get started. So, if you don't walk away with anything else from today's class, hear me on the fact that you must have a database of your contacts. Okay, I don't care what system you use. I don't care if it's a contact relationship manager that's like thousands of dollars a month, or if it's the free one that's offered through Realty One Group, which is OneSuite. I don't care if it's a spreadsheet, although I'd recommend that you don't use a spreadsheet, that you do something else. But at least if you have all your contacts on a spreadsheet, you've got them there so you can keep track of them. Okay, so something. So if you don't have a database right now, that is your number one priority. So get all your contacts into a database. Okay, again, Realty One Group, we offer OneSuite. So if you don't have anything else, use that one. It's a great place to start. Is it the most robust or the easiest one to navigate? Not always, but if you want to know more about it, I do have some trainings on my YouTube channel for that one as well. So we dive into how to set up like email campaigns and how to input contacts and stuff. So I do go over all of that in case you're kind of not very tech savvy and you want to participate in that. You can go look for that training. Oops. All right. The next step, once we have everybody in our database, is to know what your conversion ratio is. Okay, if you've been in the business for at least a year, you can take the total number of transactions that you closed over the past 12 months or 2024, and you can divide that by the total number of contacts in your database, which will give you your conversion ratio. Okay, so total number of transactions divided by the total number of contacts equals your conversion ratio. You do have to multiply it by 100 in order to, or move the decimal over in order to get it to a percentage. Okay, so if you had 7 transactions this past year and you had 500 contacts in your database, then 7 divided by 500 is going to give you 0.014. So again, to get that into a percentage, we need to multiply it by 100 or just move the decimal place over 2 places to the left. That means that for our example, the conversion ratio is 1.4%. Okay. If your database consists of your circle of influence, your past clients, leads, and other random entries, and your conversion ratio is 1.4%, does anybody think that that sounds like an acceptable conversion ratio?
Sure.
Deborah says yes. Anybody else? Yes, no? Okay, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say we want you to be a lot higher than 1.4% because let's say that your goal for 2025 was 20 transactions. That means you're going to need 1,428 contacts in your database to reach your goal. That to me feels a little bit daunting. Okay. The other option, right? So if our goal is 20, our conversion ratio is 1.4%. We need 1,400. I have 29 on there. It's 28 up here. So it's right around that number. The other option is that we can improve that conversion ratio. Okay, the way that we can do that is by increasing the quality of our connections and being systematic in the interactions with our database. So per the MREA, or the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, or I would call it like a manual, we should have a conversion ratio of our database of 1 to 12, which is 8%. Okay, and that means for every 12 people in your database, you should be getting 1 transaction this year. So that's the goal. Okay, 1 in 12. Okay, let's hold on. Just waiting for it to catch up. So if we did become more systematic in our interactions and we increase the quality of our interactions with our database, we could move that conversion ratio up. Now, we still need to be growing our database. So don't hear me in saying that you don't need to add any more to your database. No, we need to always be adding contacts and leads to our database. So don't hear me in saying that, but we also want to improve our conversion ratio. So as previously mentioned, the MREA says that we should be at an 8% conversion ratio, but we're going to be conservative, for example, and say that we're just able to increase it from 1.4% to 4%. Okay, at a 4% conversion ratio, you could absolutely reach your goal of 20 transactions with only 500 contacts instead of 1,429. Okay, it also means that if you have a database currently and you aren't getting that conversion ratio of 8%, that we have a lot of opportunity in our existing database, which is what we're going to really dive into today. Any questions before we move forward? All right. So again, in case you haven't said it enough already, please, please, please have a database. Okay, so many options to put but get those contacts into a database. Those are going to be like your leads from open houses, people you used to work with at a previous job, people you do business with, right? Your hairdresser, your dentist, your farrier, all the contacts in your phone, right? Open up your phone. If you go to your contacts, like I've got, I don't know, like 1,200 contacts in my phone. All those should be in your database, as well as all your friends and followers on social media. Okay. Ideally, when it comes to a database, you do want something that you can automate, right? A database system that's going to allow you to set reminders at least, maybe send out emails so that you can send out bulk emails or set them up on drip campaigns. And it's going to be a level up if you can also do things like send text messages, if you can track their activities, right? So you can see what messages or emails they've opened, if they've responded, what they've clicked on. So all of those are going to help you be able to offer a higher level of service. So the more automation, the better. We can't automate everything though. And again, If you're just getting started or you don't have a lot of income coming in, I highly recommend just using OneSuite. It's a great database system. It allows you to set reminders, tasks, send out emails. It does all of those things. So, and it's free, which is the best. All right, when inputting contacts into your database, okay, you first need to define what information you want to have for each person in your database. What are your must-haves, right? And then what maybe would be the bonus items, just like when we talk with our buyers about, what house they're looking for. What are your must-haves in your new home? And then what are those items that would take it up a level, like take it over the top, those bonus items? We're going to do the same thing for our database. For instance, our must-haves might be things like their name, phone number, email, and their physical address or their mailing address, right? Because if part of your interactions are going to be mailers or emails or phone calls, it's hard to do those interactions without the information above. Okay. So name, phone number, email, and physical mailing address or physical address. Some bonus items might be things like their birthday, their dogs' names or their pets' names, when their home anniversary is or when their wedding anniversary is, right? So all of those things. So when we talk about bonus items, we want to think relationship. What information is going to help you build relationship with those contacts? Okay, and we want to make sure that we want to write down what these items are so that we can make sure to have those for every single contact. Okay, the next step would be, once we've identified what our must-haves are and our bonus items in our database, is we need to identify who's missing what information. Okay. It's going to take a little bit of time as you go through each contact to determine who has the must-haves and who has the bonus items and who does not. One of the things that I would recommend with this is that you can tag your database to figure out who's missing something. So if I'm going through my contacts looking for birthdays, I'm going to tag all the ones that don't have birthdays with no birthday. That way I know that when I have a conversation or interact with that person, I need to fill in their birthday. Okay. Or I might make it my May goal to fill in all the missing birthdays. That's a great reason to connect with people is, hey, I just wanted to be able to send you a little something on your birthday, right? So maybe my goal is birthdays. If I tag it with no birthdays, then it makes it really easy in my database to pull up all the people with no birthdays. And that's who I'm calling in the month of May. Okay, so it makes it really easy that way. So identify who's missing the information and then tag your database that way so that you can sort and locate contacts with missing information so that you can fill it in. Okay. So now that we've talked about the potential in your database, making sure all of our contacts are in our database and putting some thought into what information we want for each contact, we can start focusing in on the systematic interactions with the contacts in our database, right? That's the goal. That's how that's the sweet spot for increasing that conversion ratio is systematic interactions with those contacts. So this is where our quality over quantity comes into play. Okay, it doesn't matter how many people are in your database if we aren't connecting with them. Okay, as we begin connecting with our database, we need to, number one, like we already mentioned, figure out who's missing information from our database, as well as figuring out who is missing, right? Who isn't there that should be. So again, we want to make sure we're looking through past sales. You want to look through the contacts in your phone. Who are you friends with on social media? Who do you have business relationships with? And who do you know from past jobs, kids activities, community activities, etc.? All those people should be in your database. Now, on the same note, we want to eliminate people from the database that are junk contacts. So those that don't have good contact information. And you may want to just tag them as bad contacts, so we're not wasting time with them, and leave them in your database. Or you may want to export those contacts and keep a spreadsheet of those without contact information. There's no wrong or right way. But if we don't have a way to get in touch with them, right? We don't have a phone number, or we don't have an email, or we don't have an address. There's really no reason to keep them in your database. But we may not want to completely delete them, as in the future, we may want to spend some time tracking down their information so that we can be in contact with them. And why would we have people in our database that we don't have contact information for? Well, maybe there was a lead that came in from our website, and so it came across, but they had like false phone numbers or false email addresses, or maybe we typed in something incorrectly, right? So there's all sorts of reasons why they might not have good contact information. Maybe their phone number changed, right? And now we don't have the current phone number, so we don't have any contact information for them. We don't have another email or an address for them, and their phone number changed, but we do know this person. So we may not want to delete them completely. We may just want to tag them as bad so that we can go back to like social media or someplace and message them and be like, hey, I was trying to get in contact with you and I noticed your phone number changed. What's your new number, right? So that's one reason, or one way we may want to get in contact with people. So once we sort out those bad apples, okay, so we've inputted everybody in there, we've sorted out the bad apples. Now we want to contact everyone in the database. Okay, and my guess is that when I said that, there was a lot of people that were like, nope, not me. I'm not doing that, Amy. I don't care how many times you tell me, right? Because there's probably like a handful of contacts that you talk with regularly, right? Like, I don't know, we'll say 20 that we contact on a regular basis because we interact with them. But there's a whole bunch that we haven't talked to in quite some time. Okay. It's okay to take a deep breath here, because I'm going to tell you that I really want you to start with those. Okay. The ones you don't connect with regularly. Okay. And we want to have actual human to human conversations with them. Okay. Because that's how we're going to win their business. Okay. Here in a moment, I'll show you a simple script that we can use. But as we begin to connect with these people, we want to systematize that process. Okay, because when we systematize things, when we have systems and processes in place, it makes it easy to follow and easy to duplicate, and makes it easy to grow as your business grows. So we'll talk about some of the systems that you should implement for that regular connection as well. So simple script that can be used to connect with those you haven't connected with recently, right? It could be, hey, it's Amy. I'm a real estate agent. We spoke back, in 2023, and I totally lost touch. What is your real estate plan for 2025, right? We're not asking them if they already purchased their home. We're not asking if they already sold their home. We're making an assumption that they did. Okay, but what's their plan for this year? Okay. Now, that would be like a lead. Maybe it was somebody from an open house or something to that effect, right? If it's someone that you know personally, they haven't transacted with you, but they're like part of your circle of influence and you haven't connected with them regularly, it could just be that we open the conversation with, I'm so sorry that I haven't contacted you, right? It's been so long since I've followed up, and what's going on? Or I know, back, right? So our first phone call, sometimes with some of those leads that are our circle of influence, that are in our database that we don't talk with on a regular basis, might just be to catch up. And we can talk about how to use the Ford sandwich to do that here in a little bit. But this is one for like old leads. This is a great way to connect with them that doesn't make and ask, right? Because if we call them up and be like, oh, did you purchase that house that you were looking at 3 years ago? They're gonna be like, yeah, of course I did, right? And now where does that conversation go? Nowhere. You're like, okay, thanks, bye. But if we ask them what their real estate plan is for 2025, right? And we can do this with our circle of influence people too. It might not be, I'm a real estate agent, right? But it may be like, hey, I'm so sorry I lost touch. Hey, I was calling today just to find out, number one, how you were doing. And number two, what is your real estate plan for 2025? Okay, really easy way to open the door to a conversation. That's our goal. All right, so in addition to weeding out bad apples, you're going to want to tag your database. We're going to talk about cleaning up and just managing your database well, and then we'll dive into those connection plans more importantly. But just know that first, I want you to connect with those people that we aren't connecting with regularly. All right. So tag your database. Okay, so we talked about tagging the contacts with missing information, but there's lots of other reasons to tag people in our database as well. So here are some reasons that we may want to tag people. We want to make sure to tag our VIP and our COI, which is our circle of influence and our very important people in our database. In addition to the VIP and COI, you're going to tag all leads with either hot, nurture, or watch, or some version of that. And then finally, make sure to tag or set reminders for your quarterly call plan. We may also want to tag them with captured or connected. I'm going to go more in detail on all these items here in a moment. Where the contact came from and what group do they belong to, or what is their intent. Okay, super important there. So there's so many ways that we can tag people. I would rather have more tags on a contact, so it makes it easy to sort and filter and find who I'm looking for, than less. So in this, normally I'm like a less is more person, but when it comes to tags, I would say more is better. Okay, so your VIP and COI tags. Okay, you want to identify who the VIPs are in your database, and your VIPs are going to be those that are either past clients, both buyers and sellers, as well as those that have referred others to you. So yes, somebody may be a VIP that has referred someone to you without actually being your client themselves, because that's okay. Those people are your cheerleaders. Okay, those are the people that when they're talking with someone and real estate comes up, they're like, oh my gosh, you've got to call Deborah, right? So those are your cheerleaders, and they may not have bought or sold a house yet with you, and that's okay as long as they didn't use somebody else, right? But as long as they're talking you up, they're your cheerleaders. So those are going to be part of your VIPs. So your past clients, buyers and sellers, and then those people that are referring people to you. We're going to tag those as VIP. In addition, you want to tag or identify your circle of influence. Deborah, you asked if I had a favorite. Sorry, I missed that question until just now. What was that in regards to a database?
Yes.
All right. Do I have a favorite? I am currently using OneSuite because I want to make sure when I'm training on it, I know how to use it. So I'm currently using OneSuite. Is OneSuite my favorite database that I've ever used? No, not really. Sorry, Realty One Group. It's not, but it's free and it's functional. So again, I like free and I like functional. In my past, my favorite database that I used was probably, I don't even know if it still exists. I'm sure it does, but I used Brivity. I actually went between Real Geeks and Brivity for a while and ended up on Brivity. It was created by a real estate agent for real estate agents, and they, you could call people from it, you could text people from it. They actually had a whole bunch of plans already set up in it for interactions, monthly newsletters, all sorts of things. So it was a really like easy plug and play system. It tracked everything that people did through that. So I liked it. It wasn't like super cheap though. It wasn't the most expensive, but it wasn't super cheap. So that was probably my favorite that I've used. Um, yeah. So does that answer your question?
Yes, I was just wondering how that compares to something like Follow-Up Boss that I've heard you guys talk about.
Yeah, so we have a lot of agents in our specific office using Follow Up Boss. I've never actually used Follow Up Boss, and I believe Follow Up Boss is mainly built kind of around like email interactions as far as automation, but I think they've added some more things to it. But I can't speak to the ease of use or anything with Follow Up Boss because I've never actually, I've looked at it a couple times, but never actually hands-on it.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So, in addition to your VIPs, tag your circle of influence, right? Are people that you have relationship with, right? People who know who you are, that when you call or text them, they're probably going to respond to you. Like, not just they know your name, but those people that are your circle of influence that you have conversations with. Okay. Those two groups of people, your VIP and your COI, are going to get the most of your energy and attention. Okay. They're going to get the most interactions throughout the year. Okay. In addition to tagging the VIP and the COI, you also want to tag your contacts that have expressed a desire to buy or sell real estate. Okay. I would recommend tagging them with some version of like hot, nurture, it, watch. It could be like gold, silver, bronze. It could be A, B, C. Could be 1, 2, 3, right? It doesn't matter, but just some version of that. The idea here is like a hot tag is going to be for contacts that are going to transact in the next 90 days. Those are your pre-approved buyers, your sellers that are getting their homes ready to go on market, or those that are talking with a lender to get pre-approved, right? Their goal here is to close in the next 90 days. We want to tag those people appropriately because we want to make sure that they don't fall through the cracks, because these people you should be in contact with on a weekly basis. Okay, your hot people in your database, whether they are contacts or leads, you're going to be in contact with them on a weekly basis. Okay. The nurture tag is going to be for those that are going to transact probably in like 91 days, right? So like 4 months to a year out. Okay. Our goal here is we want to connect with these people not as frequently as weekly, but probably bi-weekly or at least a couple times a month. We want to be connecting with these people a little bit more frequently. Okay, because we want to make sure that then when they're ready to move forward, okay, that we've got them. Now, the other way that you could tag these people, it could be nurture. But if you also know which month, like if they're like, oh, my lease expires in November, then we might tag them nurture. We might also tag them like October 2025 or set a task on our task list to remind us in October to touch base with them because their lease is getting ready to expire, so that it's a more specific interaction than just like a couple times a month we're touching base with them, right? So that we know when it's coming up. This way we can also move them as it gets closer to that November 2025 date. When we're within 90 days, we've now moved them from nurture to hot because we're getting ready to help them buy a home. Okay. And then finally, you're going to have the watch list. So those are going to be the people that aren't going to transact in the next 12 months, but they've talked about doing something. Okay. So maybe they aren't quite able to qualify yet. They've got to pay off some debt, clean up some credit. Maybe they just signed a year lease, right? Maybe they're like, yeah, but we've got to save a down payment and that's going to take us, about a year and a half from what we've calculated out, right? We want to interact with them as well because they've expressed a desire to buy or sell a house, right? So we want to interact with them monthly in addition to our regular interactions that we'll talk about here in just a little bit. Okay, because our thought process here is sometimes things change. And if they decide they want to move sooner, we want to be the one that they call. So we want to make sure that we're systematically interacting with them on a monthly basis. And this might be something, right? Like we might have a plan in place, like a 12-month plan or something that every 12 months we touch base with them. And it might be something regarding like if they were talking about buying a home, maybe it's something about the home buying process, just another step in preparing them so that when they are ready to buy, whether it's 18 months from now or 2 years from now or 11 months from now, that they feel more educated on the process. They've put themselves in a position to be able to purchase. Or if they're a seller, we might want to be talking about little things that they can be doing to their house while they're getting ready to sell it, right? So if they're, 18 months down the road from selling their house, we may want to talk about some things each month that they can be doing, whether it's talking about curb appeal or a fresh coat of paint or getting carpets cleaned or making a list of the little things that they don't even realize are broken in their home because they've just learned to live with it. So when they come across one of those things, having a notepad open so they can just, make a note on their phone of, oh yeah, the faceplate on the light switch cover is cracked in the bedroom, right? So we could be talking about things like that on that monthly interaction. Okay. Now, we're going to be moving people into these tags as we connect with them in our database. So not everybody in our database is going to have a hot, nurture, or watch. Those are just going to be people that expressed a desire to buy or sell a house. Okay, and then based on their time frame. So there's going to be people that don't have those tags as well. Those who maybe they just closed on a property and so they're not ready to buy, sell. They haven't expressed an interest in picking up an investment property or anything else like that. They may not have one of these tags. Okay. The next thing that you may want to tag your database with is your call plan. This is going to make it easy to open your database and know exactly who you're supposed to call today, this week, or this month. And I would say the more specific, the better. There's lots of different methods that you can use to call your database. So if you're using like a DTD2 plan where you break down the database, you can Google that by what letter their last name starts with, right? Because it pairs people based on what letters statistically have equal number of names. So things like letters A and W are paired together, and letters like B and E for last names are paired together. And then it puts it into 13 groups with the thought process that we're calling one group each week. Okay, so like week 1, we call A and W. Week 2, we call B and E. Week 3, we call whatever's next until we get to the end of the 13 weeks, and then we repeat it. So it makes sure that you call everybody once a quarter, and it statistically divides it up so that it's spread out equally. Okay, you can also just label with weeks 1 through 13, right? Knowing that there's 13 weeks in each quarter, you can use that plan to connect with your database, and then it's going to repeat quarterly. So if we're in week 1 of our quarter, we know that we can search the week 1 calls, and that's who we're supposed to call. Okay, let's see here. You could also do it monthly as well, like months 1 through 3. Our goal, though, is quarterly call plan, so once a quarter. So we wouldn't go months 1 through 12. We would go quarterly because there's only 3 months in a quarter. Okay. If you're using something like a 5-5-5 plan, which is my favorite, I don't think we're going to talk about it today, but it's where we call people 1 month. I think we do talk about it today. We message them 1 month, and then we interact with them on social media or send them a card 1 month. Then you're probably going to want to tag them with a weekly tag so that we can track it, because each month you're going to have a different action step there. So just pay attention to that. So it doesn't matter how you tag them. We just want to tag them so that we can find them. So the choice ultimately is yours, but the intention is that we want to identify who needs to be contacted so that everyone can be contacted 1 time per quarter via phone. Okay. The goal of the phone call is to build relationship and ask for referrals, right? Simple way to ask for referrals is as we get to the end of the phone call, who do you know that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? I personally would recommend using memory joggers because it will lead to a greater number of referrals. And a memory jogger would be something like, who do you know, like a neighbor, somebody they work with, someone from church that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Now, the reason I say that is when we talk about a memory jogger and we say, hey, who do you know from work, right? They're already thinking about, oh, who do I work with, right? So it's a little different. We just say, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate? Most of the time, people are going to be like, no one. I don't know anybody right now. Perfect. Well, just let me know if you do, right? But if we start using those memory joggers, like who do you know, maybe a neighbor, coworker, someone from church, they're starting to think about specific people. Like when I say neighbor, they're visualizing who their neighbors are. Oh yeah, that's right. The neighbor 2 doors down was talking about selling. So it leads to a greater success in the amount of referrals by using those memory joggers. Make sure to add notes to your database about what you talked about during the phone call. I know we were talking about tagging. I'm talking about the phone call now because I'm just, thinking that these are important facts that you need to know. So make sure that you're tracking in that database what the phone call was about. That way, the next time that you call them or the next time you go to interact with them, you can pick up where you left off, and you're not going to have this awkward thing of not remembering what you talked about. Our goal is relationships. So we want to remember what we talked with them about. And in some cases, even though we're going to call them quarterly, we may get off the phone with them and be like, man, I need to set a reminder to touch base with them in a week because they just said their child was really sick or their mom's in the hospital. So I need to follow up with them in a week to just check in and see how their mom is doing, right? So build a relationship with these people. All right. So in addition to those tags, you may also want to tag your database with captured versus connected. Okay, this is going to separate those that you have relationship with or those that know your name, right? So those people that we actually have relationship with that like we really truly know, right? Those are our COI. We tag them as such. But in our database, whether they're leads or whoever, we're going to separate out those that we have their contact information versus they may actually have our contact saved in their phone. Okay, I personally like to describe it as like a zoo animal versus a pet. Okay, and you could tag them that way if you really wanted to be funny. Instead of like captured versus connected, you could tag it zoo and pet. So a zoo animal, right? We've captured them. They're in a cage, but they probably don't know their name. Like if I called the zoo animal giraffe and said, hey, long neck, come on over, they may not run on over, right? We've captured them, but they probably don't know us or trust us. Versus our pet, right? If my dog takes off down the road and I'm like, hey, Lucy, come back. She's going to be like, oh my gosh, she's talking to me. I need to stop and come back, right? Or when I get home and I see my dog, she gets really excited. So that's the pet versus zoo animal. So our zoo animals are captured. We've got their contact information. They may not want us to have it. They may not want us to call. They may not know who we are. Now, again, if somebody's expressed a desire for you to stop calling or emailing them or contacting them, you should make sure you do so because we want to adhere to all the rules and the do not call and do not email, do not text rules. But like somebody passes through your open house, that's a captured lead. Okay, we may have had a conversation with them at the open house, but until they start responding post open house, it's captured. We have their contact information. We can call them, we can text them, we can email, but until they start responding to us, they're a captured lead or a zoo animal. Versus our open house lead, we had a great conversation at the open house. Open house wraps up. I'm doing my follow-up phone calls, my thank you for passing through. And they're responding to me. They've now moved from captured to connected. Okay. Or from zoo animal to pet. Does this make sense to everybody? Okay. And we want to tag them as such because those people that are captured but not connected, we're going to spend less time with those people. Okay. As a bonus, I would also recommend tagging your database with how you met the client or where that contact came from. Like, did it come from an open house, a home show, baseball game, community event, right? So where did you meet them? Also, you may want to tag them in groups like past client, or maybe they're a vendor or a business owner, or maybe they were a referral or a referrer, right? So we can tag them that way as well. And then we may want to tag them with their intent. Okay. Do they own a home? Because if they own a home, then they're a potential seller. So we would tag them as seller. Are they a renter? Then they're a potential buyer. Okay. Are they a potential investor? So, so you've got lots of options there as well, but you may want to tag them as buyer, seller, or investor. So to recap, you're going to tag your database with VIP or COI. So VIP or COI, then captured versus connected, or that zoo versus pet, where you met them. We want to group them up. We may want to tag them with their intent. Okay, groups would be like buyers, sellers, vendors. Well, groups would be like, like past client, vendor, business owner. Maybe they belong in your farm, right? So that would be your groups. Their intent is buyer, seller, investor. Timing would be hot, nurture, watch, or like ABC. And then also tag them with their quarterly call plan. Okay, if we tag them appropriately, it makes it so much easier to sort through your database to find people that you need to connect with and make sure no one slips through the cracks. It's also going to help that if we're sending out like a buyer themed email, we can quickly identify who our potential buyers are in the database because we want to work smarter, not harder. Okay. Now, Let's talk about how to break the mold by leveling up our system. So now that we've set up our database appropriately, okay, now let's talk about how to level up our systems. So our first step for improving our system is to evaluate what you currently have in place. Okay, so in order to get the results that you desire, you first have to know what your results are, which is going to require digging into your data. Okay, after that, we have to be willing to change what we're doing and how we're doing it. So I would recommend completing a weekly review each and every week. At first, it's going to take a little bit longer, but after you get the hang of it, it should only take about 30 minutes per week. Step one is every lead that you haven't connected is to make sure, right? We're ensuring that every lead that we haven't connected with is on what we call a 19 plus to connect plan. Okay, so you're going to look and see it's every lead that is not connected with. So those zoo animals, okay, those contacts, right, that are captured people or our zoo animals, are they on a 19 plus to connect plan? Our goal also here is once per quarter, you should attempt to reactivate them or get them to respond to you by putting on a 12 plus to connect plan. I'm not going to go over that today, but you can search my YouTube channel for more details on both of those plans, the 19 and the 12. Okay, we're not focused today on our zoo animals or our captured. We're focused on our connections. Okay, but we want to make sure everybody's on that plan. And then once a quarter, we're going to try to revitalize them or get them to respond to us. So step number 2 is every buyer on a property drip? Okay, that means we should be sending them listings based on when they're going to buy. So if they're pre-approved and searching for a home, they should be getting notifications as soon as something hits the market that matches their criteria. So it should be like an ASAP thing. Okay, if they aren't pre-approved yet, right, they're talking with a lender trying to get through the pre-approved process, or you've given them the lender's name, they haven't called them yet, then they may only be like on a daily or a weekly drip of new properties that might match their criteria. If they're on like a nurture or a watch, then they may only be getting a property drip weekly or even just like a monthly update of new properties that hit the market, right? Our goal here is that a buyer that's actively searching, we want to make sure they're kept abreast of any new properties that hit the market as soon as they come. Everybody else, we're kind of trying to spur them into action. So we want to keep them up to date with new properties, hoping that something's going to catch their eye and spur them into action. Our problem here is that if on the buyer drip, if it comes too quickly or too frequently and they're not ready to buy yet, they're going to start ignoring it. So we don't want them to ignore our emails. But we want to make sure step number 2 is every buyer on a property drip. Okay. Is everyone who isn't a buyer, step number 3, on a neighborhood update? Something that's going to keep them up to date on their current home's value or the activity in the area where they're renting. Okay, so neighborhood update. Our CRM OneSuite does have the ability to send out neighborhood updates. Okay, it also has the ability to send out property, so you can use your MLS for that, or you can utilize OneSuite for that. Personally, for my buyers, just so everyone knows, I like to use a different system than my CRM for property searches, only because if somebody unsubscribes from that email, they're not unsubscribing from newsletters and other things. If I use 2 separate systems, they're only unsubscribing from the property search. So that's my theory there. All right. And then the 4th thing, are you contacting the contacts with recent activity? So if you can see recent activity in your database, right? That's one of the benefits of OneSuite. Like if we set them up on a property search, we can see if they opened the email. We can see if they clicked on the listings. Are we connecting with those contacts that have recent activity? Okay. And then number 5 thing that we're going to do once a week is make sure everybody's on a quarterly call plan. So everybody should have that assigned quarterly call plan. And the last thing that we want to do on a weekly basis is make sure all the tasks that were supposed to be done this week were done. Okay. And our goal here is to make sure those tasks are done either when they're due or before they become overdue. Okay. So each week we want to make sure that Anybody that we're not connected with is on a 19 to connect plan. We want to make sure our buyers are on a property search. We want to make sure those that are in our database that aren't buyers are on a neighborhood update. Okay. We want to make sure that we're connecting with those that have recent activities. We want to make sure everybody's tagged with a weekly or a quarterly call plan. And we want to make sure all of our tasks are done. Okay, if any of these pieces are missing, we want to make sure that we remedy the issue. If we're doing that this week and we're going through our database and making sure all that stuff is done, then next week, the only people that may not be on a contact plan or a property drip or a neighborhood update are the new contacts that we've added to our database that next week. So it makes it really easy. Just look through the new contacts, make sure we did everything right. Our goal here is to make sure that we didn't drop the ball and forget to do something when we added them to our database. And then we're making sure that all of our tasks are getting done. Okay. Any questions so far before I continue to move on? All right. So let's talk about how to build a circle of influence system by identifying and creating and communicating your value. We want to make sure we're filling our database and creating your own interaction plan with those personalized touches along the way. So our goal with a COI system is to get results from our database in the form of people in the database buying and selling homes through you, as well as handing you a steady stream of referrals. Okay. And on that note, if we're not asking for referrals, we can't expect to get referrals. So I'll have agents that I'm coaching be like, Amy, I'm just not getting referrals. And I'm like, well, tell me how you're asking for them. Well, I'm not. Okay. Well, start asking for referrals. Okay. Your goal here with your COI is to become the Google of your main service area. Okay, so to become Google, you're going to want to know the local economy. You want to become the real estate expert, right? We need to know what properties are on the market, what's coming on the market. We want to have the pulse on that. So I like to use in our MLS system at least like the 24-hour market watch to stay on top of and be the real estate expert. I would also recommend compiling a vendor list for all the services someone who owns or rents a home may use. You also want to know all the community information, events, parks, restaurants, activities, right? Know the area, right? This is going to be your value. You want to be hyper local and the go-to for all the information in your area. If you service a large area, you may want to start with narrowing it down and focusing in on a smaller area to focus on. So, right, a niche, if you will. So, like, if I was going to focus on all of Vacaville, that might be too big, but so I may just focus on like one side of the highway or the other, like one zip code or even one like general area, like the Southtown area, right? So I may want to focus kind of in what's in that, and then I can continue to grow out my my lists and everything that way. So just kind of think of it that way as well. All right. So think about the area that you want to service. Who do you know, right? We need to add missing people. Who do you know that isn't already in your database? Who are you missing? Right? So if I'm servicing the 95687 area code or zip code, who do I know that lives over there that I haven't yet put in my database? Okay. Additionally, I would say not only are we connecting with like all the businesses in the area, like we should be able to direct them to home inspectors and contractors and handymen and plumbers and all of that. But I want to, because I want to be the Google of my area, in my service area, I want to get to know the local business owners. I want to create relationship with those business owners. I want to get to know them. I want to know who their ideal client is. I may even do like an interview with them. I may even record it so I can like post it online, right? I want to create business to business referral relationships with the people inside my service area, those small local business owners. Okay. And then don't forget to put all the people, right? The missing people, the businesses that we're building relationships with, we're going to put them all into your database or your CRM. We want to grow that database, and that's one of the good ways to do it. Okay, you're probably going to communicate differently with those in your main service area than those outside your service area, right? So we may want to tag all of our contacts in the area where they reside, whether it's by city, by zip code, by state, whatever that might be. Okay, because like our people in our database that live in another state, we're not, when they move out of state, we don't delete them from our database because they could still be a good referral partner. Okay, so we're going to keep them in there, but we may want to tag them as Idaho instead of California so that when we send out messages to them, we're not sending them out the local, here's what's on the market message. They might get something else. Okay, that way we can be the go-to agent for everybody. Okay, so in addition to that, identifying your service area, making yourself the Google of that area, having that vendor list, and then making those business to business relationships, I want you to reach out to everyone in your database that is tagged as either circle of influence. Okay, you might start there if you have a big circle of influence. In fact, I would just start there. If they're tagged as circle of influence or VIP, in addition to your quarterly phone call, you want to reach out to them once per quarter. Okay. The additional interaction, it should be personal. Okay. Do not automate this interaction. This is not the, hey, I was passing through your neighborhood and I was thinking of you automated text message that might go out. It could be a text message. It could be a social media direct message. For the most impact, I would say everybody that's tagged as COI or VIP should get a handwritten note in the mail. I would send them a handwritten note. Okay. Because, I mean, most of our mailboxes are filled with like junk mail. So, how cool is it when you actually open your mailbox and you get like good personal mail in there, like just a little card of encouragement or something? The interaction again should not be business in nature. It should just be about building relationship. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't have your logo on the note card, right? Or that you can't include a business card, but the message should not be business in nature. Okay. And that's the same if you choose text message or direct message. It's just going to be a personal, hey, I'm just wanting to check in with you. Hey, I just saw you got back from vacation. How did it go? Right. Your goal here is that the interaction is going to level up your touch plan with those people in your circle of influence and that VIP group. We want them to feel special. We want them to not look at any other realtors. Anytime somebody says real estate, they say, go see Amy. Okay. So in addition to our quarterly phone call, so far we've addressed a quarterly phone call, and once a quarter, send them another interaction, text message, direct message, or a card in the mail that should be personal in nature. Okay. Now, in order to yield the conversion rate that we desire from our database, we should be interacting again systematically. So statistics show that we should interact with our database a minimum of 36 times per year. More is better. Everyone in our database that we are connected with, okay, connected, they've responded to us at some point in time. They should be getting a quarterly phone call. Okay, there's nothing that can replace the quarterly phone call. You can try other interactions, but it's not going to yield the same results. Okay, the goal here is to build relationship and ask for referrals. Okay, so quarterly phone call. In addition to that quarterly phone call, they should get 24 emails per year from you, a minimum of 24. 12 should be newsletters or one per month monthly newsletter. And then they should be getting like a monthly neighborhood update or a monthly property search. Okay, super simple. Both of those can be automated in almost any system. Okay, so 12, a newsletter once a month, and then a property search or neighborhood update. And I would recommend that you schedule it to stagger. So like they might get the monthly neighborhood update or property search at the beginning of each month and then the newsletter in the middle of the month so that like every 2 weeks they're getting an email from you. Okay. Then I would invite to 2 events. Okay. Now keep in mind when we invite to events, it counts as 2 interactions. But you can incorporate this if there's going to be calls and mailers or emails or whatever that go out as well, because you're going to have like an save the date and an invitation and then like a call to say thanks for coming or I wish you could have been there. Maybe even like reminder text messages going out for bonus interactions. So So even though it's 2 events with the invites and stuff, it's going to count as more interactions. Okay. We'll talk more about events in the future too, but it doesn't have to be big things. It could be like, once a month you invite a handful of people to happy hour, right? To join you for happy hour. They don't actually have to show up. Maybe you're doing like a Easter egg dyeing events, right? Or maybe you do like a pie day event where you hand out pies on pie day, right? So it could be like Santa pictures. Who knows? There's so many opportunities. It doesn't have to be like some big expensive event. You could, like I know agents that rent out movie theaters or ice skating rinks and invite their whole database to those events. So you could do that as well. So it could be small event or big event. It's up to you. The whole point of the event though is to increase your interactions. All right. So in addition to that, we're going to send out 4 cards. Okay, they can be for anything. I would recommend like a birthday card and a home anniversary card for 2 of them. And then I would send out like 2 other holiday type cards. I'm not a fan of Christmas cards only because they get a bunch of cards at Christmas. So I would say send out a happy Groundhog's Day card or a happy Pi Day card, right? Whatever that might be. Pick 2 holidays or 2 events or activities and send out those cards. And then they should be getting 4 pop-bys or items in the mail. Okay, for your COI and your VIP, or especially your VIP, they absolutely should be pop-bys. You should dropping something off on their doorstep. Okay, for the rest of your database that isn't VIP or COI, or for your COI and the rest, you can mail something. It could be like a yearly fridge magnet. It could be once a year, or if they closed on a house this year, they get a copy of their closing statement at the end of the year or in January. I would recommend one of those be a CMA report, just a market analysis. It can be a pretty like quick and dirty CMA report mailed to them so they have a pulse on what their home value is. Could be additional holiday cards, right? Possibilities are endless there. So this should be your plan when you systematically interact with your database. Quarterly phone call, monthly newsletter, monthly neighborhood update, 2 events per year, 1 card per quarter, and then something mailed or dropped off once per quarter, right? Is the idea. If you want to take your 36 plus interactions to the next level, you can add in the 4 personalized interactions we talked about earlier, right? So in addition to the things that we're going to send out that are business related, we're also going to either text them, interact with them on social media, or send them a card in the mail once per quarter that's more personal in nature. And in addition to the phone call that's part of the 36 interactions, you can add in 4 additional text messages and 4 social media interactions. This is what I would call like a 5-5-5, where like this month they may get a phone call. Next month I'm going to interact with them on social media. And then the next month they're going to get a text message from me. And then I'm going to repeat it. So month number 4, phone call, month number 5, social media, month number 6, text message. Okay, it could be an automated text message, especially if they live near you or in your area of service. It could be something like I mentioned earlier, like I was in your neighborhood showing property and I passed by your house. How are you doing? Right? Because now I'm checking in on them to see how they're doing. I'm creating relationship, but I'm also reminding them that I'm a realtor because I was showing properties. Okay. Again, that doesn't work for people who aren't in your service area. They'll know it's an automated text message. So just keep and be mindful of that. But that's going to make it so that you're interacting with them on a monthly basis. You could also step up your events by going from like 2 events to 5 events. So again, you could add in some additional happy hours or add in things like a fall festival, a trunk or treat, right? Something similar. And pay attention to what your contacts have going on in their lives. Watch their social media, send cards for major life events, things like deaths in their family, new pets, lost pets, marriages, childbirths, and more. Don't hesitate to celebrate or mourn with your clients. And you can enlist the help of something like AM cards or send out cards to help have quality cards that you can send out to your clients at the drop of a hat. And you may even want to find some charities or community events to support. which gives you those additional events or activities, and you can promote those events or the drives or the charity, right? Or even do drives for the charity. So those are just some ways that you can actually like plug into the community, do something amazing for people less fortunate than yourself, and drag your database into it with you. Okay, take them with you for that journey. So make it really fun. So those are just some ways to step up those interactions, but the bare minimum to get the results that you want is that 36 interactions. Okay. If we want to give our clients the wow factor or create an experience, we also want to think beyond or outside the normal. So we can interact with them and bring them unique interaction opportunities that might knock their socks off. So some fun ideas for like events or pop buys that can help you stand out would be things like, branded leaf bags in the fall. You could take and do a spring home photo of the front of their house for them and give it to them. You could do golf, bowling, pickleball tournaments. You could do a shredding party, right? Where maybe you have a shredding vehicle or shredding truck or spot. They can bring all their paperwork. That might be a good thing for like Mayish as people finished up their taxes in April or the end of April. You could do junk removal, right? Where you have, you could run a dumpster, they could bring it to you, or you could have them call you and have somebody go around and pick up their junk. You could do gutter cleaning, window cleaning, ice cream truck, block parties, charity drives, pie giveaways, Santa or Grinch photos, an Easter egg hunt, movie nights, seminars. There's just so many opportunities, right? Wine tours, Zoom events, concerts, raffles, pet photos, DIY classes, yoga, Christmas lights tour, right? You could rent a bus and take them on the tour of the cool lights in the area. You could do a game night. You could go apple picking, pet adoptions, chili cook-offs, bingo nights. You could do a raffle for like win a professional organizer. You could do a lawn care giveaway. So many opportunities where you can think outside the norm to just offer that extra level, that leg up to help us drive those results up to that 8%, or maybe even exceed it to like 10% coming out of our database. Our goal here again is that we want to be the realtor of choice. We want to be connecting with people on a regular basis, reminding them that, hey, we're here for them and we're here for their friends and family. So a couple other things, ways to step up is become a customer service master. Make sure to answer your phone call. There was like 1 week that I was looking for a referral agent and I called like 50 agents and only about a handful of them answered their phones or called me back. So if you want business, make sure to answer your phone. Make sure to be professional, right? Your language, your attire, the way that you communicate should ooze professional. That doesn't mean that you have to be somebody that you're not. Just make sure that you are having a professional appearance. You may also want to check what you're posting on your social media because your clients and people are following you on there as well. And then make sure to go above and beyond. If somebody needs something, figure out how to take it a step further. Do the extra, under promise, over deliver. Okay. And then remember how we talked about our VIP group or that group of past clients and those that are referring business to us. We could even involve our COI, our circle of influence. We want them to refer to us. Create a group like on social media, on Facebook or whatever, and add them to it, right? But the trick is going to be, if you're going to do this, to provide value. Okay. You want to create interactions and engagement. So ideally, if you did something like this, you're going to want to post in this group at least once per day, ideally 2 or 3 times per day. Create discussions, create engagement, and don't make them all real estate related. In fact, I would say very few of the interactions should be about buying or selling homes. And you can open it up if you wanted to so that people can add their friends and family. Okay. But I'd be careful. You may not want to allow other real estate agents in. So just a heads up, but you could create like a fun Facebook or social media group where you can interact on a more frequent basis and stay connected. Give them little tips. You could, as you're interviewing the business owners and stuff and building your vendor list. You can be sharing it there in that group, sharing those interviews that you're doing with the other business owners. You can make it fun and exciting. You can be posting in that group like area activities and events, upcoming concerts, whatever it might be. All right. And then remember, every time we reach out to systematically connect with the people in the database, we're looking to build or deepen the relationship. The easiest way to keep that on the forefront of your mind is the Ford sandwich. That's where you open the call up with Ford. You're going to move into business and then wrap it back around to Ford or family, occupation, recreation, dreams at the end of the call. That way you're building relationship with them and you're making them feel like you care about them. We're not just calling them and jumping straight into business. So you want to open the call talking about family, occupation, recreation, dreams. We don't have to talk about all four of them. You can, but oftentimes it just leads naturally. Then we can go into the, hey, do you know anybody looking to buy, do you know anybody, maybe a neighbor, coworker, right? Looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And then at the end of the call, we can wrap it back up with, oh my gosh, I really hope you enjoy your vacation, or I hope your work situation gets a little bit better. I'll keep my eye open in case I come across anybody hiring, right? Whatever that might be, we're going to wrap it back up with what we started with at the beginning of the phone call for our Ford sandwich. The 3-attempt approach, another bonus item here. I like to tackle all of my calls for the week in what I call the 3-attempt or 3-step approach or 3-attempt approach. So if I was calling like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, it could be any 3 days. Whoever I'm supposed to call this week, I call the whole list on day 1. Okay, so if I'm doing like a DT, D2 schedule with a and E this week, I'm going to call, or A and W this week, I'm going to call everybody whose last name starts with A and W on day 1. For those that don't answer, I'm going to leave a phone message. Something like, hey, this is Amy. I was just looking to touch base. I'll try you later this week. Okay. Day 2 where I make phone calls. So this might be Tuesday. It could be Wednesday. I'm going to call everybody who didn't answer on day 1. Obviously, those that answered, I'm going to have that Ford sandwich conversation with them or whatever my thing was that I was calling for, right? Day 2, where I make phone calls, everyone who didn't answer on day 1 gets another phone call. The thought here is that I left them a message. So now they're expecting my phone call. They know who that phone number was. If they don't answer on the second attempt, I'm going to send them a text message, something similar to the message I left on after call 1, something like, hey, it's Amy. I just wanted to touch base. I'll try you later this week, right? I don't want to engage in a text message conversation. I want them to answer my next phone call. So day number 3 of calling, I'm going to call the people that still haven't answered, that I haven't talked to. If they don't answer, I'm going to leave a voicemail message along with a similar text message, something like, hey, it's Amy. I'm sorry we weren't able to connect this week. Please reach out if you have any real estate related questions or needs. Have a great weekend. Right? I'm letting them off the hook. Now they're off my list. I'm moving on to my next group the next week. I tried them 3 times. My experience is with the 3-attempt approach, I usually get close to like an 80% answer rate by the end of the week versus like a 20% answer rate if I just call them once. Okay, so that 3-attempt approach will help you reach more people, have more conversations, which allows you to build more relationships. And then you can use a VIP group to step up your database referral game, right? The goal here is that you would put people. So if we step up our VIP, instead of just adding people that we've closed transactions on, we're only adding people who are referring people to us. Okay, and letting them know that in order to be in the special group, they have to refer at least 1 person to me or at least 2 people to me, right? Set the expectation. Choose your members wisely because these people are going to be your cheerleaders and people that you want to be in deeper relationship with. They can be community leaders, friends and family, other business owners, past clients, right? I would probably keep my special group at about 50 people. I would let them know they're in my elite VIP group, right? You could even make it like a fun name to go along with it, something catchy. Those 50 people, instead of a quarterly phone call, they're going to get a monthly phone call. Okay. We're going to make sure that it's relationship based and let it lead to real estate and always have like a market moment stat to share with them. Like rates are down .75% since last month. They should also get a quarterly sit down, coffee, lunch, play date, some sort of face-to-face interaction on a quarterly basis. It could even be like you run a quarterly happy hour where you invite them. It could be always on the same place, same time, same day of the week. So they know like the first Thursday of the third month from 5 to 7 is Amy's happy hour, right? Because that's going to lead to higher attendance if they can plan for it in advance. Personally, make sure you call them on their birthday and send them a personalized gift. It doesn't have to be super expensive, just something fun and small. And then also some agents send a box gift once or twice a year to announce to the member that they have made it to the elite VIP group, explain the expectations, but do something that make it fun. Let them know what they have to do to stay in the elite group. We want to make it like FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. And then I would host 2 events per year just for that group. One should be a large scale event, like a New Year's party, Friendsgiving, something big and fun. Select a theme, make people want to come to it. The second could be something like a party with a purpose, like host your own and support a charity, or found out what galas or events are in your community and buy a table at them and invite them to fill your table, right? The first 8 to RSVP get a spot. And then maybe those 8 people don't get invited to the next opportunity, right? Great way to support community, make people realize that you're doing good things in the community, and also invite others to go along with you. The touches are designed to make sure that you're getting referrals, right? We want to create experiences that make them want to stay in the group. And the only way to stay in the group is to refer people to you. And we want to make sure to evaluate this group often. So look at your list. Are they taking your phone calls? Are they sending you referrals? Are they joining in at the events? If they aren't participating, remove and replace. This is an elite group. We're limiting the number. So those are my ideas on some ways that you can level up to make sure that you're getting that repeat and referral business out of your database, or even not just repeat, but getting business and referrals out of your database. Some ways to level it up, make it fun, make it entertaining. Again, this database should be your primary source of your business. Any questions, thoughts, or ahas before we wrap up for the day? All right. And if you have questions on things like the 19 plus to connect, or the 12x1 interaction plan that I mentioned, or some of the other things that I mentioned were on my YouTube channel, Abby did post a link in the chat box, so you can click on that and subscribe. You can search it. It's got all things real estate, hundreds and hundreds of videos and trainings. Oh, as well as like one suite trainings are on there as well. So you can look those up to get a better handle on how to utilize it. Setting up those property market updates or property searches is on there. So anyways, thank you guys for joining me today. I don't remember what we're covering on Thursday. I'm sure if I stop sharing, Abby will probably pop it up, but now my mouse isn't working. So let's go up here. But we'll be back on Thursday at 9 a.m. covering, my window's really small. Oh, we're going to talk about FSBOs and cold calling. So we'll talk about some approaches for that, because that's part of our real estate bingo. So play real estate bingo with me and win a cool prize. We will see you all on Thursday at 9 a.m.
Thanks, Amy. Bye.
Bye.